Our next one is someone that I have a good time with, love chatting about podcasts. He desperately was trying to start his own company, and Danny here finally took the leap in 2012. He co-founded a company called Spotistic that summer of 2012, and it was a startup for brick and mortar to leverage local marketing with two French engineers, although he is German. So this is his Fuckup story of a startup, which was an 18-month roller coaster, and he says it was both empowering and tiring. So how did he fuck up? Here's Danny.
Yeah, to better understand my story, I want to actually start in my childhood. And I was grown up in a working class family in East Germany and was highly influenced by those communism mindset of my parents. Actually, my mom still sends me job offers of big companies. Why don't you want to work there? She works in the government and she has the safest job on earth. As you can imagine, she's like concerned about me being an entrepreneur. And this was like how I fucked up in the beginning, because she planted those seeds in my mind that you can never fire anyone. You shouldn't be an entrepreneur, so don't dream big. Don't look into this. And I think this was the very first fuck up in my life. It's like, I wanted to prove her wrong. And this is like ever since my story. Yet I wasn't brave enough, so I thought like, okay, before starting a company, what can I do? Obviously studying, right? I mean, that's what most people do. So I did the bachelor in business administration. I looked into controlling, financing, accounting. I did an internship at KPMG. I can't believe it anyway. This was so boring. But I knew that this all tasks I didn't want to do. And then in my bachelor thesis, it was my first point where I had some kind of contact with entrepreneurship. So I had a now friend with his business from idea to business model. And I really liked it. And there I was like, wow, I can do what my uncle did when he started this company, because I saw him growing up, this one. But you know, Lehman Brothers crisis 2008, maybe who of you worked at this time in a company and experienced Lehman Brothers in 2008? Any one of you working in a company? I worked for Daimler and a lot of people got laid off. Actually, a manager who just moved to Berlin was like laid off, and I thought like, I never want to be this little cog in the wheel of those big corporations. So there my passion for entrepreneurship and starting a company grew. But I still wasn't brave enough, so I embarked on a journey with my ex-girlfriend, and we traveled in Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia. I traveled through Thailand, and I read a lot of books. I thought like, by reading a lot of books, I can prepare to become an entrepreneur. Because I had this limiting belief, this limiting mindset that was planted into me about communism and not being an entrepreneur. But I was still not brave enough. So this is my master thesis. I went to Netherlands in Maastricht, where I studied innovation and strategy. Again, I thought like I can prepare to become an entrepreneur, studying it theoretically. I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, but this is another fuck up that I just like then later on realized. It's like, you cannot prepare for entrepreneurship. As many books as I read, as much as I talked to other entrepreneurs, it's their experience, it's their fuck up, but I couldn't really learn anything. And I always believed that maybe becoming a consultant will be my springboard to becoming an entrepreneur, right? Saving up some money, building a network. And this was another fuck up. You know, it's like similar to not being really able to prepare for this journey. Becoming a consultant, from my perspective, even brings you further away of becoming a consultant. Because all what I was doing was creating PowerPoint slides and giving smart advice. Again, not doing anything, right? I told them what to do, and I'm like, hey, look, guys, you should cut off 20% of your people, and then you save costs and increase your revenue. It's really easy, right? But in the end, it's just a blame game. And then I figured out, okay, how can I become an entrepreneur? What are my options now? After studying, after trying consultancy, I thought I'm gonna go to Silicon Valley. That's where Facebook is created and all other big companies. That's where I wanted to learn. Again, another fuck up, you know, you need to do it yourself. You need to have skin in the game. If you're just an employee, and I studied a lot about startups. We actually analyzed 10,000 startups back then. We wanted to understand what makes them successful. And I thought, theoretically, I encoded innovation. I knew what to do. And yeah, this was a huge misbelief, because when I went back to Berlin, you know, I knew okay, a co-founding team of a startup needs to have 2 or 3 co-founders. It needs to have a business component, a technical component. It needs to have this and that. You know, in my mind it was clear, and then I found 2 French engineers. But that's not how it plays out in reality, right? And I was so excited about finally making the leap. You know, all my life I was dreaming about becoming an entrepreneur, and finally I did it. We were in an accelerator program. I was responsible for sales, marketing, fundraising, business partnerships. I raised 300,000 for the company. We had a business grant or government grant, and it all felt really exciting. We grew our team to 8 people. We were based in Berlin, and from the outside, we had revenues, we were growing, but internally there was tension. Because me, who was just kind of responsible for sales and marketing, I was not the CEO, but I had like a lot of CEO responsibilities, fundraising, PR. So whenever our company was in the news, it was my name, even though it was a team. And this was another fuck up. I was too selfish. I always felt really, really proud that my name was associated with the company. And I didn't let the team shine enough, especially the CEO. And at some point, this was just another speaking gig I had where I talked about local marketing strategies and approaches. And this internal tension between the CEO of the company, who was the originator with the idea, and me getting all the public fame and reputation clashed at some point. And he took away fundraising, he took away a lot of responsibilities. And I felt like a little child, right? As you can imagine, you get the sugar and you see the nice thing. You sit down with investors, they pay for their dinner or lunch, you feel amazing. You feel like Facebook movie, like talking about millions. You know, we were like a 5 million valued startup, and like we wanted to raise another round. But actually he didn't like it. And so I felt like betrayed by him removing me from this position. And then I realized, actually, like with all this trouble splitting up internally, different language, different culture, I realized I don't want to be in a startup actually. I don't want to be in a marketing arena. And then in summer 2014 at the World Cup in Brazil, I was there with my best friend, I decided to quit. And it was one of the hardest things I have ever done, because all I wanted to be, I was an entrepreneur, and then I needed to abandon my baby. And I still had shares at this moment, but I knew I can't stay longer because of this internal fight between me and him. And so in 2014, I made the difficult decision to leave the company. And I wouldn't say it's a fuck up, but the company later got sold for not a lot of money, and I didn't experience this. But you could say this was another fuck up because I wasn't patient enough, or I could have put my ego aside and just do marketing and sales and help him in accelerating fundraising and help him to grow as a leader. But I was like just really like a little kid, I would say, like felt betrayed. I wanted to be the one in the front row, and I didn't want him to shine. So that was another big fuck up, that it was not really for me a team effort. So it was like more like opponents. And that's what I learned, like similar to your story, like it's finding good partners. It shouldn't be a one-night stand. And even though we took 3 months to evaluate if we want to work together, startups take 5 to 7 years. You know, and it's a decision. It's like getting married, and it's not just a cliche. It's like this. So what I learned, I can't tell, because as you know, like similar to a relationship, how can you know that you're going to be together for a long time? And I can't give any advice how to pick business partners. I just know it's a really critical decision.